Joining us tonight, Congressman Randy Forbes, member of both the House Armed Services Committee and the House Judiciary Committee. Good to have you with us, Congressman. First, your reaction to the man that has been held in contempt by the House of Representatives.
Well, Lou, it was interesting when the president was speaking today. He suggested that he had appointed Mr. Holder as America's lawyer and as the people's lawyer. And Mr. Holder might have been a number of things, but he was anything but America's lawyer, the people's lawyer. He was clearly the administration's lawyer. And one of the things that we've seen over and over again in the Judiciary Committee from testimony from Democrats and Republicans is that this has been an attorney general that's basically thrown the rule of law out the window. And so many of us are not going to be crying that we may have a change in the Justice Department and reinstate that rule of law.
And turning to the issue of his successor, how difficult do you judge it will be to find an appropriate successor who can actually be confirmed by the Senate?
Lou, I think it'll be easy to find somebody. I think the question is going to be whether the president wants that person. If the president continues to want somebody that's just going to be very partisan, very polarizing, an individual that's simply going to take a motto that the end justifies the means, I think he's going to have a very difficult time getting that approved by the Senate. But if he brings someone forward that is competent and willing to reinstate that rule of law, I think he'll be successful in doing that. I'm just not convinced the president has that as his goal.
Let's turn now, if we may, to foreign policy and to the war against the Islamic State. Your judgment about whether or not at this point we are bringing adequate firepower to the task of degrading and, as the president put it, destroying the Islamic State.
Lou, it's more than the amount of firepower. It's whether or not we have the right strategy. The thing that's problematic to most of us right now is you have a commander-in-chief that really just doesn't have a very strong leadership around the world. And how could he when you have two former secretaries of defense that basically say he's ignored their recommendations, when you have the chairman of the Joint Chiefs who said every military advice was to do something different than what the president did, and then when you have Secretary Gates said what he has employed other strategies, that he's done it half-heartedly. And I think a lot of the world leadership is very concerned if the president's going to take one step in and then pull it back out when you look at a crisis that's this large in the Middle East.
And going forward, the Islamic State, is it, in your judgment, the imminent threat that it has been characterized as being by the administration?
Lou, we don't have the evidence to suggest that it's an imminent threat, but we do have evidence that shows very clearly it's a threat. It is clearly the most organized, well-trained, best-equipped, best-financed terrorist group the world has ever seen. And with that in mind, and based on the statements they've said that they want to do harm to Americans and to American interests, we have to take that very seriously. If we don't take action against them, we will have more problems down the road. That's why many of us take this very, very seriously at this point in time.
And as we wrap up here, Congressman, reports of a rebellion within the House against the leadership of House Speaker John Boehner. What do you make of it? How realistic is it to assume that that movement will build momentum?
Lou, I don't think it's very strong. I think basically that's more press coverage right now than it is actuality. I think most people in the House right now very united behind the Speaker and most importantly, united for these elections. We know that the country can't afford 2 more years of this divided Congress. We want to make sure we win the House and the Senate. That's going to be our focus, not trying to overcome Boehner.
Congressman Randy Forbes, always good to see you. Thanks so much, Congressman.
Thank you, Lou.